Hello, welcome to CLSB Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So this is part 2 of my primary 2020 schedule overview. And we kind of pick up about mid-primary, looking into June. And June is actually I think there's 19 primaries in June, which is a very busy schedule. But I'd like to talk about June for a second. Why would you hold primaries in a month where people are going to be on vacation? That's a question that needs to be asked. Why would you do that? Why would that be something that's acceptable for a party or a state party or a state led? I mean, what are you doing? People are going to be not home, and it's like, why would its peak be in June? I just feel like there's better months to hold a primary than in a month where everyone's on vacation. Kids are out of school. I just feel like there's something going on here. So June 2nd, California, Iowa, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota hold their primaries. That's 34 million voters can vote on June 2nd. 154 days from that's basically 5 months before the general election. And so Iowa's a very important state, Montana is interesting, lots of cows and stuff. But New Jersey, New Mexico, there's California's really it. That 34 million is mostly California. You add up the rest of those states and it's not even half that. So you're looking at really June 2nd being where the California primary is going to be. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what plays out, because right now that's about a solid, post. They probably have about 170 and maybe 190 day primary if you go and you start in January or in mid-February. So you're looking at a pretty long primary and about the same length of general. So June in that way is actually it gives you at least a balanced primary, balanced general as far as time and reach. Although, as we talked about in my previous video, only about 20% of voters vote in primaries. So, active voters vote in primaries. So you're really looking at, a much smaller universe. And then you have 154 days to go after that much larger universe. And when it comes to California, it's a ridiculously large universe. So it's interesting. So then you get to June 5th. It's 147 days before the general, and you've got Nevada, North Dakota, and South Carolina. I think South Carolina is changing. We've been seeing numbers coming out of that state now for a couple cycles, good and bad, but interesting. Like the pendulum starting, at least there's movement. And sometimes it just stays red and it's just red. But, we're starting to see stuff in South Carolina, starting to figure stuff out. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's because of the industry it's moving there. A lot of people from lots of different states are moving there. It's going to change the demography and education levels of that state. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. About 6 million voters are going to have the potential to participate in that primary. June 16th, 140 days to the general election. Oklahoma, Virginia hold primaries. Now, Virginia I've actually worked in. It's very interesting primary cycle. Great weather. I have never canvassed in better weather than May and June in Virginia. It was like a postcard every day. This was back in 2023 actually, but it was fascinating. Now, keep in mind this Virginia's primary is only federal, right? Because they do all their state and state level stuff on the odd year. So they're doing that they've done that already, right? So now this November in 2025 is when they're going to vote on all that. So 2026 is just their federal races. So congressional, Senate, that kind of thing. And when it's presidential cycle, presidential. So it's a very interesting universe to operate. It's so close to DC. There's plenty of operatives, lots of staff, lots of talent in the campaigning world operate out of there. So Virginia is just interesting to me because you don't have any much down ballot at all. It kind of all caps out at Congress, which means the districts are like 780,000 people per congressional district. Interesting. Then you've got June 23rd. You've got Maryland, New York, and Utah. It's 133 days till the election. Now, New York's interesting. Maryland's small. Utah is Utah. I have quite a few Mormon friends, and even they think Utah is a little burp burp. So, kind of interesting. Don't know if I'd ever want to work races there. Anyway, but New York's interesting because it's like what, our third largest population state. You only have 130 days effectively to, assuming you take a couple of days off, to run a general. I think well, what's good is that they have a very long primary. So people are like, well, how did AOC do it? Well, that's how she did it. She had plenty of time in their primary to go knock on enough doors in her congressional district with 280,000 voters. I mean, and it's all high density residential. So if you can get in hit those, I imagine she got all of her steps in. Let me put it that way. And she's young, and she could do it. Technically, you could, if you had a long enough primary, you could knock on the vast majority of this as a candidate in her district. But you need like 200 days to do it. And she had 200 days to do it. So it was very interesting. People ask, well, how did AOC do it? That's how she did it. She had a very long primary. Like I said in my previous video, you can have a very long primary, lets you unseat incumbents in your own party. A very long general lets you go after incumbents in the other party. So she managed to do it. Mad props. Also, full disclosure, huge AOC fan. Just saying. Okay, so, well, because New York's in this group, it's 19 million potential voters. Vast majority of that's New York, needless to say. All right, then June 30th, 126 days till the general. We're getting down now. We're getting down to like the 4 months of campaigning. This is Colorado. Colorado's really interesting. I have quite a few friends who've worked Colorado. I have not myself been there yet, but I've done lots of data for Colorado. There's Boulder, and then there's Denver. And Golden's very nice. That's about it. And there's a whole lot of nothing. Whole lot of high nothing. Lots of mountains. But so, in that kind of environment, you could probably, it's a lot of suburbs. I love suburbs for field programs. They're very easy to work through, lots of sidewalks, so you're not walking on the road. A lot less likely you're going to hurt yourself because, believe it or not, twisted ankles are a major inhibitor to field programs. I've almost lost a couple candidates to that. So it's a thing. So having nice sidewalks is nice, and Colorado's got those in spades. So I have friends that have done field there. It's a good state to do field. So that's like got quite a few registered voters, almost 4 million, nothing too shabby. So just a real reminder, like and subscribe if you like what this channel is all about, which is mostly campaigning. I'm on YouTube and I'm on Substack. If you want to donate, you can go to my PayPal off my YouTube. The link's there. If you want to join my Substack as a paid subscriber, that would be awesome. I do live events for my paid subscribers. And you can do that on Substack, $5 a month. It's awesome. All right. That's my commercial. Now we're moving into August. Things are getting a little crazy now, right? Because now we're under 100 days before the general election, and you're just now finding out who your primary winners are, okay? In Kansas and Michigan and Missouri and Washington State. So kind of nuts. I actually got a vote in a primary in Washington State once a million years ago. And then I got a vote in the general there. It was great. Best ballot I ever voted on. It was 2012. I got a vote for Obama a second time, gay marriage, back when that was even like, oh my goodness, it was kind of radical, but super voted for it. And then legalization of marijuana, why not? And best ballot I ever voted on. So here we are, August 4th, 91 days before the general election. And you've got some interesting states. Michigan, huge. There's going to be lots of interesting things happening in Michigan. I think it's a very dynamic state. The other states are pretty set, but Michigan's definitely the one to watch on August 4th. And we'll talk more about that in future videos. Then August 6th. So literally a couple days later, you got Tennessee. Tennessee's one of those weird states. Like, I feel like they want to do something. I just don't know. There's only 4.2 million registered voters. You're only getting about a fraction of that out for a primary. I feel like there's some movement there. You know, they've definitely got a lot of activists. Memphis is huge. They've got heavy gerrymandering, which is really what the problem is in Tennessee. So something to watch. I mean, I'll tell you right now, from Memphis, there's 5 state house seats that I would go after right now. 100%. I've looked at the numbers. There's 5 within an hour and a half drive of Memphis, Tennessee, Arkansas, and you know, and just south of Memphis that I would go after in that state. Then we got August 8th, Hawaii's primary. No one ever sends me to Hawaii's primary. I want to work Hawaii. So if you got a candidate in Hawaii, they're looking for a really good data director and field operations guy, give me a call. Feel free to message me on Substack or YouTube or email. I don't care. I'm on Gmail at CLSB Politics. It's easy. Find me. Super want to work in Hawaii. Aloha and Afa Day for all my friends on Guam. But yeah, I started out there, kind of. Started on Guam, but you know, there's a lot of cultural crossover there. And would love to do Hawaii. That'd be a blast. Also insanely stable. 805,000 registered voters, which for Texans, like, we could have mayor races with way more registered voters than that in this state. So 805,000, no problem. I'll take care of it. Just let me know. Hawaii, love you. All right, moving on. August 11th. So we got Connecticut, Missouri, Vermont, and Wisconsin. As many of you know, I've done quite a bit of work in Wisconsin, and the August 11th primary only leaves about 84 days of general election to work Wisconsin. Wisconsin, I think, is one of the most dynamic and happening states. It's a swing state, and I think there's going to be some amazing things. And I'm going to talk about this more in future video, but I think the congressional first and the congressional third, I think there's about 9 state house seats and a couple of state senate seats that the Democrats could go after and take in Wisconsin. Love Wisconsin. Minnesota's interesting. Vermont's pretty set, and Connecticut is pretty set. But Minnesota's also got some stuff going on. It's kind of interesting, but I really want to go back to Wisconsin. So August 18th, we're now 70, we're like 2.5 months from the general election, and we're still having primaries. And one of these primaries is insane. It's Florida's primary. It's so Alaska and Wyoming don't have many registered voters. So you can assume that 14 million of those voters on the August 18th primary, the vast majority is Florida, like 90% Florida. And they have a very long primary process, which means you would think their party stuff would be dynamic, and it is. It's very interesting. I was back there in 22. It's so fascinating. I absolutely, when they say all politics is local, I know Lyndon Johnson who said that. Put that all caps, bold, underline with about 1 million exclamation points after Florida. Food's amazing. Love the food. But everything else was, oh my God. So, yeah, Florida, fascinating. They have a very long primary process and a very short general process for a state that size. Incredible. And one of the enigmas of Florida, in my opinion. So we're in September, the last month of the primaries. So we've got New Hampshire and Rhode Island, right, in the first week of September. 1.8 million registered voters, 2 very set states. Then we've got Delaware and Massachusetts. So it's all New England in September for the primaries. Very, very, I'm sure that they set those dates in calligraphy on some parchment. Yeah. So, but I've actually done Massachusetts primary. Very long, but they also have to get signatures from like a million different, they have to caucus in a million different townships to get on the ballot. There's a lot of OG old school politicking that happens in Massachusetts. From what I understand, Delaware is a lot the same. So I get the primary being so long in Massachusetts, and the general, I mean, it's Boston. That's who decides the general in Massachusetts. So lots of entrenched party action there, and just a lot of field mechanics to operate there. So interesting. Well, thank you for watching part 2. From now on, it's going to be, so I'm going to start with the March primaries and work my way through. Like and subscribe. If you wish to support this channel, I'm on YouTube and Substack. Feel free. It's $5 a month for Substack, or if you want to just give general donation on YouTube, go for it. Every penny's appreciated. All right. Hope everyone has a great day. This is going to be a fun primary cycle. Talk to you later.